Hello, and today I want to talk about whether or not it's possible for a fighting game to jump the shark, and if it's possible for it to do it multiple times, because that's what I think Tekken 3 did. Tekken 3, okay, there is some mysticism and kind of mystical powers going on ish, I suppose, um, but some of these things in this game are just downright weird, downright ridiculous, and I think they just really are unbelievable. So, first off, you play through the arcade mode, you unlock some characters, and you think, okay, this is making sense, this is going well, I'm unlocking these characters, this is good. And then you unlock a character called Kuma, who is a bear. Yep, you unlock a bear. I don't understand why. I really don't. I don't know where the name Kuma came from, but it's a bear. Okay, so that's not the only problem I've got with this one, is that as an alternative costume, I say costume in inverted commas with this one, because it's not really a costume at all, it's an alternative. And the alternative is a panda called Panda. Kuma, the bear, has a name. Why couldn't you call the panda something? Couldn't you give him the panda a name? Regardless, this is when I think this game has jumped the shark the first time. It's having you control a bear. I don't get it. I don't know where this came from. This is a bit of a left field move. It's a fighting game where you're fighting a bear. Yeah, or a panda. Not very, yeah, not very kind of believable. A bit silly, and really, I say a bit silly. This is a total shark jump moment. I don't know why I said bit silly because it's very silly. And for those of you who don't know what the jumping the shark means, it refers to an episode of Happy Days where Arthur Fonzarelli, the Fonz, as nicknamed, actually on water skis jumps over an actual shark. And it became kind of the synonym for when a show becomes so ridiculous, it just is unbelievable. They've maybe lacking in ratings for whatever reason, and it's just gotten outright mental. And this kind of has seeped into other media, and I definitely think this, as a strange game move, has definitely done that. This is the first time. Later on, however, you unlock more and more characters, and another one you unlock is this tree spirit called Mokojin, which mimics all the other characters, but at random. So if you play as this, you don't know what character it's going to mimic. Okay, it's a log with logs for arms, logs for legs, and a log for a head. It's weird. Again, I think it's maybe something from folklore, but really the fact that you're controlling a tree that lives and mimics things. Again, this is another what the heck is going on. I think you've basically gone round and jumped over the shark again at this point. Not to mention some of the other characters, which I'm going to get onto. But let's double back for a second, because before the bear, before the panda, before the weird tree spirit thing, we have two other points when this game has just come out of the box and it's gone, okay, let's go crazy. The first one is there's a wrestler in this game, well, I think he's meant to be a wrestler, called King, who wears, I think they're leopard's print boots and a leopard mask. Are leopards king? King of what exactly? It doesn't really make much sense. Is King his name? Or is King a reference to the fact that he dresses up like a big cat? I don't know. But he actually growls. He doesn't speak. he growls. I don't get it. How much in character does a wrestler need to be that he growls? This is just ridiculous. I know this is kind of not really properly rooted in reality, real life, I don't know. But that is kind of taking it a bit too far. Then we have Yoshimitsu, who is a robot, cyborg, ninja, samurai, whatever, from future, past, I don't know, that's wandered through Star Wars. This weird sort of, I don't know what he is, but he has what looks like a lightsaber samurai sword. I don't get it. It's weird. I know, okay, this is kind of a martial arts based game, but why have you got a sword? Oh yeah, and I mentioned Mokujin. Mokujin mimics him. So you're kind of like, this is weird. You've got something that mimics something else. Where does it get the sword from? I don't know. I don't get it. It's just a strange move. It's truly. This is kind of. How do you jump the shark when you've only just started the game? How can you start jumping it, but it seems to have done? It's weird. I mean, other games like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter have their moments. Street Fighter's Blanca, which is a bit of a strange one, but that's kind of a one-off. Mortal Kombat is kind of set in, I suppose, a more, I don't know how to put it, maybe another world, a different realm kind of thing. So some of the characters, I suppose, make sense. But Tekken, I don't think any of these characters make sense, as I brought up. But anyway, I will go on. Do I really want to? The next weird moment in this game is when you go through, again, arcade mode. You unlock this character called Jack, who is a robot. Go figure. Who can fly. Top one. I really am baffled by this. We've got a robot now to go with the tree spirit, the bear, the panda, the samurai robot man thing, and the wrestler who growls. Okay, I'm stumped by at this point as to how to put into words the fact that this has gone this way. It's just unreal. You also then, later on again, you unlock this thing called Ogre. Okay, stroke true Ogre. Ogre is just basically a muscle-bound version of Shrek in a hat. And True Ogre, I'm guessing, I think, is a chimera, I believe. One of these mythical creatures that has got a snake for a hand. So it's not really technically an ogre, but go figure. This game's Tekken, and it's gone overboard at this point with the madness. Why would any of it make sense now? So there are a couple of other characters I want to talk about. The next one is through you play survival mode, which is basically a side-scrolling beat 'em up, a bit like Streets of Rage, and you just go along, you knock out enemies. I think my tip, if I was to say I had any tips for this, would be use a character that's got a ranged attack, a good long range punch or kick, so you can keep the enemies away from you. You'll go through this really quickly if you do that. It's not that difficult. You go through, I think, from my recollection, 3 stages, maybe 4, and it's timed as well, which helps because everyone loves a timed side-scrolling level. But at the end of it, when you get to the final stage, the final boss is this guy called Dr. Bostanovich, or well, people call him Dr. B, I suppose, for short. It's easier to say. Um, who is a scientist who, if you've ever gone to Cubs, Scouts, whatever, any kind of one of those groups, and you played this weird game called crab football, where you go around where you bend over backwards and you put your hands on the ground and you kind of scuttle around like a crab. I'm guessing that's why they call it crab football. Anyway, that's how this guy moves. I don't know why, but that seems to be okay, that they've got someone who kind of really moves in a strange way. The other one I can think of is Voldo. That's his name from Soul Calibur. He moves a bit like that. This is just adding to the ridiculousness of this game. If you've played any of the later games, I don't remember him being in any of them. I don't know why he's there, but he is. So you unlock him when you beat him, which I suppose is easy stroke hard because he is not standing. So a lot of the characters you fight are all standing, apart from Kuma and Panda, who are hunched over, but they are still kind of standing. They are all in line with the other characters, and you can actually beat them. Whereas Doctor B is bent over, and so he's nearer the ground, and it's harder to attack. So you're kind of doing a lot of sweeps and low punches, but you'll beat him eventually. It's not that bad. So you're thinking, right, okay, I've unlocked him. Where do I go from here? This is it. I have appeared to have unlocked all the characters, but you are wrong at this point. You haven't. I remember talking to my friends at school about this, and they were like, okay, I've unlocked all the characters, I've got him. But then I discovered that there was this mode called beach volleyball, I guess. What's not so much beach volleyball, it's more keepy ups, where you are on one side and there's an opponent on the other side, and you hit this ball back at, well, I say ball, this thing of polygons back at your opponent. You kind of keep it up and then you smack it back at the opponent, and you can do damage to them. And there's not really a net. I suppose there's kind of a graphical wall, I guess, that kind of counts as a net. I don't know really how else to describe it, but there are 3 types of ball. There's a beach ball, which is light. There's a medium ball, which is, I don't know, blue, I guess, I think. And then there's the heavy ball, which is meant to be made of metal and harder to hit and to keep off the ground. And you can, when you play 2-player, you can select what kind of ball you have. I don't know why, but here again we have a bit like Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball, I guess, but on the original PlayStation, but not quite real beach volleyball, and not quite as dodgy as Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball kind of thing. But it is meant to be beach volleyball in some sense. But anyway, there's 3 rounds. If you play by yourself, you beat all 3 of these with the varying difficulties of ball. The third one you get to, you fight shark jump number, I've lost count, but it's a baby dinosaur called Gone Gone. Okay, it's a baby dinosaur that shares the name with Gone Gone the monkey from Monkey Ball, before Monkey Ball even came out. But it's a baby dinosaur which you're playing beach volleyball against with a large metal ball. This is a 2-fer, surely, or a 3-fer if you want, when it comes to shark jumping. This is jumping the shark, going round, jumping it again, and then for funsies, spinning around and doing it again. I don't know why I said funsies, but right now I've gone nuts. Just like this game has. Oh my goodness, why has this happened? This game is just weird. Anyway, you beat Gongon, and you unlock him, and there you have it. You have now unlocked all the characters. There's a couple of other characters that I suppose I want to quickly talk about that are just nuts as well. And are just maybe rip-offs, I guess. The ones that are nuts in this category is Hiachi, who has the biggest eyebrows in the world. And one of his outfits is him with no shirt on and a pair of clogs. And a pair, well, trousers, thankfully. He is the head of Iron Fist, I guess. I don't know. But you unlock him, which is great. He's probably the hardest character to beat in arcade mode. Mainly because, well, it would toss up between him and Ogre-ish. True Ogre is a bit of a walkover, you just have to keep hitting him. A bit of a letdown as a final boss, if I'm honest. It's just ridiculous how we've got to this point. But that's the way it is. This game is just unreal. And what else can I say? But it's unreal. Okay, there's two other characters that are a bit kind of off the cuff, and I want to end on. Sorry, straight out three. There is a guy called Lee, who is a policeman, who has a move. I think it's called like the drunk policeman or something like that, where he lies down and on the ground. I don't quite get where this is coming from, but anyway, it exists. There is the Ken from Street Fighter. I wish it was a Street Fighter. Street Fighter ripoff. Who's called Paul. He's even blonde, but his blonde hair is up in a kind of weird quiff thing helmet, like a bit like actually Guile from Street Fighter. So he's wearing the red. He's wearing the red. I can't remember what those outfits are called. Kind of karate outfits. A bit like Ken, but he's got Guile's hair. So he's kind of an amalgamation of two Street Fighter characters. But he has basically an instant win almost move, which is actually not that difficult to pull off, where he kind of powers up this punch and unleashes it. And if you get it just right, you either knock out the opponent or you leave them with a tiny slither of health. So it's almost an instant win, because you catapult the person across the level, then you can just run and shoulder charge them in. That's how you can get through the story mode, or like you can get through the arcade mode, story mode. If I suppose you call it story mode, you get the story at the end. That's kind of the quickest way to get through it, and then lose in the final battle, switch characters, and there you go, you've unlocked somebody else. It's just baffling that they've managed to do this and they've gotten away with it. And the final one is, of course, we want to have a Bruce Lee inspired character who's called Forrest Law. With that kind of name, you would think he's kind of an eco warrior, but he's kind of a Bruce Lee-ish kind of guy, I guess. I think that's where it's come from. But if you beat, I think it's arcade mode twice, which isn't too bad, I guess. You unlock his kind of special costume. There's a couple of characters that if you press start, you can use their special costume, and his one is a throwback to a Bruce Lee outfit, which is the old gold jumpsuit from one of his movies, and so you can play using that. Let's see the start select or something that you press in the character select screen. It's one of those two buttons, and you can use that. There's one other character, I don't remember which one it is, that has a costume you equip using one of those buttons. It's kind of quite cool. that they've got one. Then they've got this kind of throwback inspired character in this game. It's quite a nice touch. Um, I suppose it's not quite a shark jump or quite a weird one, but it's kind of in the weirdness factor scale thing. I suppose it's the one that makes the most amount of sense. But I've gone on long enough. This game is weird. It makes no sense. A lot of the characters are just strange and outright crazy. Uh, I'm going to stop now because I've gone on long enough. So if you agree with me, let me know in the comments below. Okay, cheers.